Just wanted to display my early morning yesterday. Uh, well, this morning actually, version of my software. I think I already did a stream anyway, but working on it. I just changed cursor to be gray, dark gray, charcoal there. And so for games like Void Expanse, somehow when you join the game, well, that's how it was earlier, one cursor disappears, and what remains is the aiming cursor only of the ship. That's how it was earlier. Let's just do this.
Flight control
So yeah,
system
so
online.
in Void Expense, but when options appear, you've got two mouse cursors, but it's fine, because you have the stick now that tells you exactly what's going on screen so that you can visualize. And for the CPU usage and GPU usage, still the same, didn't change a lot here at all, actually, with a 14% CPU, 27% GPU. It's quite high still for something that people would say, well, it's supposed to be an overlay. An overlay, you don't want the game to lag, but it's actually more than that because the whole surface of your game is now a heat maps. Just go away from those there. So if I go closer, we're gonna see now the heat maps values can increase with the numpad 1 or 3. It's all voxels everywhere. Why are the values increasing? Oh, that's because I was moving. See a lot of displacement there happening. Screen, just gonna. So the game is playable as it was. It's just that you've got that angled screen, and this is my before my last release. So there's salvageable parts when ships are destroyed. They leave parts there, destroyed parts that you can salvage with the salvaging device, but nothing is balanced yet on that. There's only one salvaging device. There's not many. And the AIs are stuck everywhere inside of the interior station. The turrets are shooting at the walls there, everywhere. They're shooting at each other. It doesn't take a long time that everything is destroyed. It's quite annoying. That is something that I can fix actually quite easily, I do believe. I might use, I've been thinking maybe using Pathfind for the station aiming, so that, because there's two ways that I could do it with the ray. AI enabled had implemented the ray in order to know what is the object that the ship or turret is aiming at, but I don't think that I was ever able to make it work perfectly. As you can see, there are parts also for the turrets that can be salvaged. So the other way that I thought could maybe work is using Pathfind. So let's say that this turret finds a ship right here, but can fire up Pathfind, and if somehow there is in the path would be, for instance, like this to here. There would be like a big corner here, but the dot product to that location, um, if the if I would take that dot product and aim at the point, then there would be an unwalkable tile here. If I would use the logic of finding that point right here, you know, based on the distance of the turret to the target. And if there's an unwalkable tile, then don't fire. You know? Although those are aiming turrets, aiming missiles, homing missiles, I mean. Those homing missiles, the way that they're fired, I'd still have to work my way around to finding or implementing more logic to just, you know, finding if there's an unwalkable tile, don't fire. But for instance, if the ship is moving, you know, or has moved more than some distance, and there's just one unwalkable tile, then fire the rocket, you know, and hope for the best, I would say. Because, yeah, if there would be just one unwalkable tile, and the ship is moving, but that suddenly the direction of the turrets is aiming at the unwalkable tile, well, if the ship is moving, it's gonna go from that point to that point. By the time that the homing rocket is fired, you know, it might go around that unwalkable tile and hit the ship. That's a logic to implement. Inside of void expense, it's always fun implementing new logic inside of void expense with Musker 5 and the quite a simple API, a simple but quite complete API that is available inside of void expense. Now there's still issues inside of the station's surroundings or station parameter where you cannot grab the crates. And that's something that I would have to fix. And the way that I had thought of fixing that is just to put to remove the floor, because now it's part of an object, because it's the whole station is just one big object, and that the floor is part of it. It detects that we're inside of that object and we cannot grab the crates. So if I separate or remove the floor and instead spawn it as a decoration that has nothing to do with the station object mesh, then the decorations are not collidable. They're not collidable. So because they're not collidable, it should be possible then to grab the crates. So that's something that I had been working on anyway inside of my destructible station experiments, and it was working to have a decoration floor. And look at that. This AI doesn't have any pathfind, so it's unable to go and search and shoot at the enemy crit, and then it fires at the walls. So it's not really cool to see this, but in my later version of of my mod in experiment demo that I was doing, I was able to implement pathfind within the station parameter for the drones, and it was quite fast. Actually, it was very good. I was very happy with the results, where if I was in the station parameter, the pathfinder would activate, so that the drones would not hit walls, or, you know, at least for the most part, they wouldn't hit the walls, and they would find a path there to follow the waypoint, the formation waypoints where they're following my ship. So it was pretty cool in implementing that feature for the enemies, for the miner ships, and for the patrols. Should be quite straightforward to do. I was gonna say easy, but it's gonna be a little challenge there. And but it's gonna be possible. It's something that I want to do real soon. But there's that other big thing that I need to work on, and it's the heat maps. The heat maps for the stations, and the voxels that are not rotating to the drone's location, and maybe fix the cursor also that is inverting the stick that is inverting sometimes. And you know, because right now we can see the voxels, we can definitely see that there's plenty of voxels there on the screen, although we cannot see much effects if we're position, the initial position where normally are in front of the screen. We can't really see that there's any voxels actually in the screen. That's something that I want to change to some effects there. You know, maybe a random value for the color. I would be able to have different colored tiles there, voxels for each voxels. I think that would be great. And look, the cursor has inverted and it's stuck right now in the other position. And in order to fix that, kind of go forward and go in the back of the screen, and then we go back to in front of the screen, and the cursor is back to where it was, aiming at the cursor. So that's something that I need to fix. And that's obviously that there is minimum 2 rotations that are that have their bullseye point aimed in 2 different spots. So whether it's forward and backwards that they can aim at, or it's left or right, or it's more like forward and backwards right now. So, and you know, that's how the dot product works, I guess, sometimes, from a 0.99 to minus 0.99. But you know, when you're in the 0, let's say, that's because I just barely approached that product in 3D. But in, let's say, in 2D or even in 3D, let's talk about 2D first, because if we talk about the forward direction, although it be 3D, it's 2D and here in the food expense. So it can be 0.99 to minus 0.99 for the dot product in the forwards. It would be from 0 to 0.99, backwards 0 to minus 0.99. But how it works is that, imagine a line that goes straight from left to the right, a horizontal line. This is 0. So if I'm aiming to the left, but still up of the horizontal line, well, it's going to be positive. It's going to go from 0 to 0.99. And here's the same thing on the right. So 0, and if I go up to 0.99 in front, and it's the same thing backwards, 0 to minus 0.99, and 0 to minus 0.99. So there's a problem, as you can see. And the problem is that there's no way to say, if you don't have the right calculations, there's no way to say, are you aiming right or are you aiming left right now, right? So, and that's the problem with the current cursor logic, the perceptron logic that I've implemented, is that there's no way for the directions or the perceptrons to know the difference between, you know, and I've inverted it, so when they're aiming forward or at the location, bullseye location of the cursor, it's actually let me just to be sure, it's 0.99. So 0.99, I think it's right. 99 to 0. Well, it's a 0 that I make them aim at. It's not 0.99 in the forward direction. So I go from minus, well, I'm in positive here, I would say, positive 50. So positive 50, that's 0.5 to 0, and minus 0.5 to 0. And that's kind of a problem right now. I thought that it would be fixed that way, but I'm gonna look around, trying to fix this cursor, this perceptron cursor, because it seems that I've got minimum 2 rotations that are finding the same values, as in 0.5, or actually 0.99 on the sides. It's actually that, sorry about that. So 0.99 from here to there goes to 0, or minus 0.99, that horizontal line, to 0, and 0.99 to 0. So that it's the same backwards. You go minus 0.99 to 0 and 0.99 to 0. So, they can aim backwards and they can aim forward. And that's a logic that I need to implement to say, well, if you're inverted, well, you need to invert also the turn left or turn right, because now it's not inverting. Because it's not inverting, it's doing the same thing as if it was in the back or in the front. It goes to aim at the forward or backwards direction. And why I say minimum 2, that angles that are, or perceptrons that are working the wrong way, is that if there was just one, it would be still able to aim the right way. And because there's minimum 2, well, it pushes up, down, left, right in the wrong position. So it's always going to aim at the wrong location if I'm backwards. If there was only one, well, even if it would aim up and right, there would still be 2 perceptrons that would work or try to work the right way. So the forwards, backwards, and up and down, or left and right. And so there would be 2 perceptrons working against one. I think they would be able to aim in the right location. Although the roll is not really a lot. It's just the stick turning on itself there. So I might be wrong about that. 2 minimum perceptrons are working, in against 1, might be only 1 still, because of the roll that isn't doing much but rotating on itself. But I think I'm right though. Yeah, the up and down, left and right, the left and right, and up and down, or actually the pitch and the yaw are not able to right now to see the difference between aiming it back or aiming at the front. So that's something that I need to fix. And except for that, I might have to calculate 2 dot products, or just find cross product. It's different for the cursor location. Look at the parts, ship parts there, ship parts. So except for that, I'm very satisfied. This version, except the menu here, it's awful. It really is awful. So just changed from a different capture. It still works. See there? There's just one cursor. That's pretty cool in void expense. It's acting just like it lurks below. In the game lurks below, I'm able to see just one cursor, the cursor on the screen, on the projected virtual desktop, which is the angled virtual desktop, and the gaming surface. It's pretty cool, and yeah, I'm hoping to work on void expense real soon there to try and fix all of those bugs. Minimum, the ships that are literally shooting at the walls, finding enemy. No path find goes there or anything practically, except the mining drones if I would have mining drones, then the mining drones are able all the time to find position. This may be a couple things that I have to loop back to. But normally it was working fine when I had released it. So if we go and lower that, and if we verify here, we're at 101.5 megabytes of usage, memory usage. So it's really good for that many voxels. But the CPU and GPU, they're working hard. So there's nothing that's being redrawn on the voxels. Well, they're being drawn every frame, as you know, as rendering normally works, but they're the mesh is not being changed, and because the mesh is not being changed, uh, well, that's good. And the fact that there's plenty of instances also, see that the memory usage is very low because of that. But I'm not sure here if did I start it from, no, okay, perfect. So I didn't start it. I started it from the compiled version. That's pretty good. And what I wanted to check now is changing from one to the other. So 101, change back to graphics. We go to 106, but it should drop maybe a little bit after it cleans. 106 doesn't clean anything. Yeah, 102.2. So I want to check that because I still have work to do there on disposing of things. But yeah, 101, 102. So we go back to W shared surface and 107.9, and we're gonna wait a little bit for the disposing of things. 103. So it still goes up a little bit here, so I'm gonna have to fix this or find the issues that are letting memory lost, being still used because of undisposed things. And if we go to screen capture, we should have a bump there. We have a big bump in a screen capture of SharpDX, but it works great in SharpDX, and the screen capture is working real great. It's real fast. And we go back to graphics capture. Okay. So we had a huge down there, but it goes to 108. It should go down a little bit there. Wait a little bit. See for disposed things being disposed. 103. So it was at 101 earlier before changing to DW shared surface, after that changing to SharpDX. So we've gained a 2 megs approximately. Okay, a little bit less than 2 megs, or actually 2 megs, 0.2, was it 101 point something. So I'm glad though, because there was a huge bump. There was like a 20, 30, 40, 50 megs that I was losing every time. So we're really down now to 1, 2 megs, and it's still bad. I don't like it. I want 0 megs gained for changing, the capture. Of course, that's how normally you're supposed to do things, dispose of things perfectly. There's not supposed to be anything missing there. So we're gonna look at that very soon and try to fix that too. And there's no other options really right now that are necessarily worth mentioning that I've already implemented, because there's none. It doesn't work correctly now for the Perlin. I've already mentioned that because there's only one value that is stored, and it's applying the same value to everything after that. So it's really bad. The heat maps, well, that's at least the options. I was able to make the options work. At some point, they weren't working. And I'm glad that this is fixed. So we can't really see there. If we go on the side, you can definitely see that even I've changed from multiple different kinds of from DW shared surface, DWM shared surface, to graphics capture, to SharpDX, that the heat maps are still working. Okay, so reset the screen here. Doesn't work perfectly. So that's something that I need to fix too. And let's change another time there. DWM. So, and should go down to 102 or 103. Oh, it goes up a little bit. So we're losing still a little bit here on every changes of, but you know, it's not that much. It's really not that much. So I think that it might be because of static. That's what I noticed yesterday. I'm very glad that I noticed that even though I was getting rid of scripts, the static values were actually remaining. You know, I didn't think about that earlier. It's logical, of course, because you know when you create a static variable, it stays for the whole set of classes. Um, and I didn't check that yet in order to access each one of those static values and reset them, remove them or reset them. So that's something that I'm going to do, and it might help with this, the lack of dispose of things that I didn't take care of. So, except for that, you got the light on the cursor again. So there's no lights normally on the cursor inside of this game, but now it's available separate from the game, and you're still able to see this kind of effect. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but you know, it's like it doesn't really affect everything necessarily in this game. At some point, it might because of the wrong uh, textures here on the surface. You know, it's never going to necessarily have a reflection on the textures inside of the game, but definitely because I'm capturing the texture from the game and rendering that on a separate surface. I might still be able to do some light tricks there and you know, experiment on that and find somewhat of a good setting or a good um, no, it's a good option or a good solution for seeing some reflections still based on the lights of the cursor. That's something that I'm going to work on. That would be really great to see. And so that was about it for my stream for the moment. So I'm going to quit now. Void expense. We're still inside of my engines here, so I'm just going to quit this. So quitting void expense, there's nothing that's supposed to, oh, it crashed my project. So yeah, that's something that I might have to fix. I know when it's quitting a game to not necessarily close the overlay, but it's not that bad to close it. You know, should maybe ask, you know, keep the overlay alive or no, and then see from there. Except for that, I just wanted to select, let's say, anything here. What expense Discord, and we're gonna go to screen capture. So the SharpDX screen capture and add a monitors selection. That would be great. To see if we can capture the overlay of. No, I didn't want to select anything. Darn it. Oh, clicked on the wrong thing again. Okay. It's because I'm clicking on the. So I really need to make the menu disappear or deselect when I'm changing views. That's annoying. Otherwise, it's not working perfectly. So. Same thing as this morning. Just wanted to do another demo there. Anyway, so I'm going to stop for the moment. I might do some more streaming later on. And thanks for watching.